This is Rubi Velazquez with MRV Financial. Thank you so much for joining us today for our topic for our Financial Friday. As promised, I did say that I was going to give you 5 tax changes. There are 60 tax provisions for the year 2023, and we will also touch base on 2024, and we will continue to provide those provisions as needed. What we wanted to speak to today, they are more for the general public. It affects everybody. So if you have children, earned income credit, tax brackets are the main 3 that I picked because it does affect all of us. So let's talk about the town of Cicero. Last July, Fema actually considered them to be a part of the flood system. So if you have any outstanding claims or if you need any assistance from last storm, you can go ahead and contact Fema directly. Information provided for you so that you can go ahead and get that taken care of. What does that mean when they call an area a flood zone? Basically, that it is expected for the next 30 years that that area is going to be hit by storms. So if you are in the process of purchasing a home, moving into an area, do you know to look if that is a flood zone, if that is an area where you will need flood policy, because that is not automatically covered by your insurance policy. So Cicero and Berwyn were hit last year for the July storm. A lot of folks went ahead and received some assistance. That is not a taxable event, okay? You do not pay taxes on any of the FEMA assistance that you received, okay? Next one is the tax rates. This affects all of us. What am I going to be paying taxes on? What is going to be my tax bracket? I will go ahead and bring that illustration up as I speak to it. So there's a blue and there is the pinkish orange. The blue is 2023 and 2024 is the orangey color. If you look at the top, those are the standard deductions for single, head of household, married filing jointly, or a surviving spouse. Deduction for single is $13,850. For the head of household, $20,800, and for married filing jointly is $27,700. What does that mean to you? You may want to consider whether you qualify to file your taxes or not. That is how these numbers affect you. But we're going to move into the tax brackets. Don't automatically assume that you do not pay taxes on it. And then the 24, you have the standard deduction for a single person that is for this year. So just remember, we're talking about 2 different things: filing taxes this year, and then I'm catching you up to what's happening in 2024 so that you can also pay your taxes appropriately or know what credits or where you stand in the tax bracket system. 2024, as you could see, it jumped from $13,850 in 2023 to $4,600 in 2024 for a single person, and head of household $21,900. So that is a deduction for this year. So if you are a self-employed and you want to know where you need to be, what is the minimum that I'm not going to pay taxes on, that is basically a healthy way to look at it. This is a tax deduction for you. These numbers here that we're talking about, the standard, that is a tax deduction. On the first, let's say you're a single, $13,850, you don't pay taxes on that amount. Same thing for head of household, so that is a automatic credit. If you decide to itemize your taxes, make sure that those expenses are higher than this and you're not just creating extra work for yourself for no reason. And then for married filing jointly, you have that it jumped from $27,700 to $29,200. Now, so to again decipher and bust the myths with this. What does the standard deductions mean? That is a credit on the money that you earned. So if you did not earn, let's say on the very first tax bracket of $13,850, you may want to have a conversation that sounds more like, should I be filing taxes? And that is the same scenario for the rest of the standard deductions. Now, when it comes down to your deductions, your tax brackets, this is what we're paying taxes on. So if we refer to the 2023 income tax rates and brackets, it's a little confusing how they do it, so I'm just going to do a quick scenario. This one here, basically, if you earned as a single person under $10,000, your tax liability will be 10%. But remember this standard deduction that we were talking about? The standard deduction off of the income itself, it already washed off. So you would basically pay 0 taxes if that is the case, because the standard deduction saved you from paying taxes. Head of household, $14,650. The head of household deduction is $20,800. What does that mean? Let's say that you were on the opposite. Let's go to the 55, the 22%. That means that on the first $20,000 from the standard deduction, you would not be paying taxes. So you will start paying taxes after the $20,000 standard deduction, so on and so forth. For married filing jointly, that will be the same scenario. For the first one is $20,550 at 10%, but since the standard deduction is $27,500, you wouldn't pay taxes because of that standard deduction. That is how these two numbers work together. So very important to know the standard deduction, what it is yearly, so that you compare that to your income to say on that first 20K, wherever you land, you're not going to be paying taxes on that amount. That's basically what that means. So for 2024, if we jump over, you could see that it went up to $11,599 for the 10% deduction, and then if you look at the standard deduction, is $14,600. So you wouldn't even be considered to pay that 10%. This is not to say that this is an educational. There are more things to your taxes than just these two numbers. Okay, but this is how these two numbers to work together in a very generic format. So wanted to go over what the tax rates are for you. So that is our second item on the tax rates. Now let's go for our third item that I said I was going to cover. The third item is about that 2023 inflation that the IRS was talking about. What does that mean to us? So basically what they're saying is in the year 2023, we saw a higher inflation than we have seen in a little while. Therefore, we're going to give a credit of 7%. We're going to increase the inflation to 7%. So as we were talking about those tax tables, if we were to grab the inflation rate, this yellow one right here would be what those inflation rates could look like for you. The standard deductions do not change. What changed is the tax rate. Instead of the $10,275, it went up to $11,000. That's the inflation rate that they're considering. But the tax table is the one that I just talked about earlier. So they are giving some kind of wiggle room. Okay, that is basically what that means. That is the tax credits are reverting to 2019. We are no longer to be considered a pandemic state. Therefore, we are going back to feeling like we are paying a lot more taxes. In 2022, we did start to feel it. They did make changes. Now they're making it official, saying yes, it's true. We are definitely going to continue to move that route. In 2022, the child tax credit used to be $2,000. In 2023, it went down to $1,800. 2024 is going to go up to $1,900, and in 2025, that's when it will actually go up back to that $2,000. The earned income credit, you can get to be between $632 and $7,830. Remember those PPE loans that everybody was applying for, and there was a lot of confusion as to whether you qualified for it or not. Biden went ahead and hired about 25,000 or so agents to look into different tax frauds, and that was one of them that they were considering, that they knew that people did not know the rules, and there was a lot of applications that should not have been approved. They are giving everyone the chance who did not qualify to work out a plan with them to return that money. Otherwise, you will be receiving letters. Someone will be receiving letters. I don't see someone contacting you directly, but then again, that's their job. As far as if you were affected by that, the IRS does have tools and resources for you to go and check them out when it comes down to that loan, because if you did get it forgiven as well, you got the loan and then you got it forgiven, that's what they're looking at. All of those forgivenesses. And so they will go ahead and investigate those. So if you have any questions about that, please visit the IRS. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you again, and I'll get more information on when I'm going to go ahead and deliver the rest of the information based on the need. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.